Right from the start, The Sinking City intrigued us as it is a very ambitious game, merging investigative gameplay we all know so well from the Sherlock Holmes games with an open world and Lovecraftian horror, promising over 30 hours of action-adventure gameplay in the fictional city of Oakmont. Excited by the prospects of a deep, massive game inspired by the works of H.P. Lovecraft and developed by Frogwares, we took the plunge as Charles Reed, a private investigator and war veteran, seeking answers about the strange visions he's been experiencing. The source, no doubt, is coming from Oakmont, a city that is quite literally sinking. At first, we were pulled in by the investigative work, as the developer definitely nailed that aspect of the game. In the open world, you can choose to follow the main quest or take on dozens of side quests, helping solve mysteries and uncovering more knowledge of Oakmont and the strange populace. The inhabitants even have their own dialect that you need to learn, and as an outsider, you aren't exactly welcome.
Means fine. I was saying, we have a deal.
Reed has a lot of investigative tools at his disposal, from your standard pick up objects and inspect them element, to a mind palace where you can piece together evidence, and even supernatural abilities such as Mind's Eye. The latter allows you to peer into the past, break illusions, and follow tracks. Then you have the retrocognition, our favorite gameplay system, allowing you to piece together what happened in the past. This helps you not only understand what is going on in the scene, but also works out brilliantly as a puzzle mechanic with great voice acting and eerie effects. The main story holds a ton of quests, and we spent almost 30 hours completing the horrifying tale, but since it is the best part of the sinking city, we won't spoil anything for you. However, the side quests are less intriguing and feel more like a chore than anything else in the open world. Another aspect that we did love about the game is that it doesn't hold your hand. You're thrown into the city and you have to figure out where to go yourself, with map markers rarely appearing. To get information on the subject, you have to visit the locals. For example, if we wanted to know more about the fire that broke out, we needed to go to the newspaper office, enter our criteria, and search for answers. Getting around is also pretty simple, as you can head somewhere by foot, unlock fast travel points via phone booths, drive around in a boat in the areas that have already sunk into the ocean, or even take creepy, nerve-wracking strolls in the depths below. The game also has a survival aspect, which meant that we had to scavenge for supplies and watch our sanity meter while doing investigations or fighting enemies. However, the combat with the handful of guns as well as traps and grenades just feels very clunky. That's a shame because you'll be fighting a lot, and to get the best supplies, you'll need to enter infested areas where enemies spawn as you try loot as much as you can. This open world design aspect breaks some of the horror, as we knew if we went into an infested area, a bunch of wild beasts would spawn for us to fight, and since the combat is so clunky, it wasn't a fun experience at all. This brings us to the flaws that drag the sinking city into the depths of mediocrity. First up, the frame rate is very unstable, as we experienced massive FPS drops on the PS4 Pro to the point that it was hard to aim. These FPS drops also occur indoors in small rooms with no enemies around, which broke some of the game's immersion that is created by the game's fantastic lighting system and environmental detail. Then we have the character animations. For the most part, animations for Reed and other main characters are good, but in the general population, the animations leave a lot to be desired. Characters look stiff and sometimes spaz out when you walk past them, breaking a lot of the immersion too. However, the game's biggest technical issue is with the game's save system. The Sinking City features both a manual and autosave option, and we use both. Unfortunately, after saving manually and exiting the game, we lost more than 30 minutes of progress each time and the supplies we gathered too. Lastly, we had to restart and create a new game save after 10 hours in, as the main quest just bugged out and we couldn't speak to the NPC we were supposed to. Hopefully this issue is patched very soon, as redoing 10 hours isn't exactly fun. Even with the technical flaws, we pushed through as the main story was fantastic. It took roughly 30 hours to complete, doing a dozen side quests and clearing some infested zones along the way. Without spoiling anything, your decisions also matter, as there are multiple endings and even multiple outcomes in specific quests, depending on what decisions you make.
Without me, they'll starve.
One example in the game's opening is where we had to decide to either turn in the suspect or let him go. We decided to let him go since his actions were caused by the hysteria rather than being premeditated. This resulted in the suspect leaving us a little thank you in the form of bullets in our hotel room. This type of choice and consequence system delivered throughout the game, and it was one of the big reasons why we kept playing even through the technical issues.
You give me a little something to get started.
The sinking city nearly drowns in its amazing atmosphere and investigation work, especially when it comes to the main story. It's fantastic. Frogware's ambitious attempt at combining an investigation game with an open world simply doesn't work as well as it could have. Side quests are mostly uninteresting, and with a big part of the game focused on collecting scarce resources from infested zones, the clunky combat doesn't help. All of this could have been forgiven, however the biggest issues with the sinking city is technical, from the massive frame rate drops to the poor animations, and most importantly the save game issues that we mentioned earlier. Hopefully the developer fixes these technical issues after launch, but for now we simply can't give the game more than a 6.5 out of 10, even if we did love the story and exploring the city of Oakmont. But that's all our thoughts on the sinking city. Are you looking forward to the game? Are you thinking of picking it up? Let us know down below. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please consider liking and subscribing, and until next time, farewell.